Hi, this is Joy Robertson. As many of you know, I love food. I love finding new restaurants. I love trying new dishes. And most of all, I love talking to the many great restaurateurs and entrepreneurs we have here in the Ozarks and beyond. I love hearing their stories, and that's what this podcast is all about, learning more about them and their journey. So join me as we savor the Ozarks. This episode is brought to you by Arctic Food Equipment. I'm very lucky to be sitting across from my friend Joe Gidman because I'm assuming I caught you, Joe, in between running up and down Commercial Street, dealing with the three fantastic restaurants that you own and operate. But we are sitting downstairs in the Phoenix Vault at the brand new Roux Bistro. Joe, thanks for inviting me over today. How's it going? At the time of this recording, you haven't been open all that long, and it's been pretty remarkable.
Yeah, we've just kind of started our second week of business, and the response has been pretty insane, pretty overwhelming. We've been booked out every single night, having to turn people away and running out of food. So yeah, so it's definitely it's been quite the response from the public, and our staff we have an awesome staff. They're super dedicated, but like I told you earlier, we're averaging 150 to 200 overtime hours right now. So they're kind of crawling to work every day and still going, yeah, I believe in this. So yeah, it's been good. It's been good.
I know it's been an experience. It opened to much fanfare. Everybody was talking about it. Part of it, I think, is the fascination with the building that we're sitting in right now, and I do want to get into that. But define Roux Bistro for me. I think French, I think Cajun. How do you define this place?
So it's kind of a mixture of both, and ironically, it's funny. Most people have said, "Oh, there's a new French restaurant," and a lot of people said, "Oh, there's a new Cajun restaurant." And I kind of let that go out publicly, both ways, secretly knowing that it's a mixture of the two. In fact, even the two main chefs that I hired, one has a background in Cajun food, and one is a classically trained French chef. And I hired them both to be the head chef, and didn't really tell either one that I had hired the other until we started meeting for the menu. And I kind of said, surprise, I want you to develop this menu and you to develop this menu, and you guys are going to fuse it and find kind of that middle ground. And I had a reason for that. The building that we're in, if you look at the architecture, this room that was discovered underneath with the stoned arch vault, it's very reminiscent of French architecture. And this area, the Ozarks, was originally settled by French settlers, at least the first colonial settlers. And they had kind of, gone in through New Orleans, up the Mississippi River, over to like St. Genevieve and St. Joseph, and then come back down to the Ozarks. And so the whole restaurant is a blend of that. It's kind of telling that history of how the French food made it here to the United States, and then how that blended with the Cajun and the Creole, and then those influences worked their way up to here to the Ozarks. So that's kind of what it is. And even now, we're finding there's so many people, basically since Katrina, that have relocated here. So there's a base of people with that kind of Cajun Creole heart that live in our area that we don't realize has grown very strongly.
Did you ever spend any time in New Orleans or in France? Because I know your other restaurants, you've lived in Amsterdam and you've lived in Peru. And so you really know, for like Cusco and Van Gogh's, you really, really know the food. Is this a place you spent any time during your lifetime?
Oh yeah, absolutely both. For personal reasons in my life, I actually spent 2 years, pretty much 90% of 2 years down in Baton Rouge in New Orleans. I had someone in my life that was going through some medical care down there, and so we had to go constantly all the time, and basically would stay in Spanish Town or 100 Oaks in Baton Rouge, which is their historic district, or rented a place down in the Garden District and the French Quarter. So there was a lot of time spent down there, and of course in my early 20s I went down to Bourbon Street a lot too. So but also, in my time that I was in Europe, I spent a lot of time in France. I had a really close friend that was a teacher down there, and I'd go, and I have some really close friends actually in Brittany and in Saint Etienne. So both places were dear to me. Our other owners and my business partners have also spent a good amount of time in France, and one of our business partners actually went to school there and then spent some time in Tahiti.
Is that the next restaurant that's coming, a Tahitian restaurant?
Oh, I don't, maybe the cocktails. Yeah.
I'm good with that. As a matter of fact, I just talked to someone who came down here just to look around, which I love that you invite guests to come take a look all through the restaurant. And he said something about, have you had a hurricane yet? And I said, I haven't. Yeah. I haven't yet. I've had one of your other cocktails, but not a hurricane. And he said, don't miss the hurricanes. And you have a variety of those. But so that's really interesting that you did spend time there, but which came first? Were you thinking of opening this restaurant, or did the building happen and you take a look at that and say, well, this is where I'll put my restaurant?
So the building came first, actually. Yeah, it was. So this building has been being worked on for about 8 years, and when the remodel started, it was only going to be a 2-level restaurant. And during the whole remodel process, there was this 3rd floor that was discovered buried underground that nobody knew about. And as I told you earlier, ironically, when the project first started, my one business partner who owns the building had kind of wanted me to help him put a restaurant in here. I was so overwhelmed with our other restaurant, Van Gogh's, that we went through a series of, I would say yes, then I would go, no, I can't do this, and find another chef. And then that would fall through, and I would say yes again, and then I go, no, I can't do this, and we'd find another chef. So it's been an on and off process till about, I would say about a year and a half ago, we finally got serious and said, let's really pull this off. But the building itself has kind of been more of a discovery. Like we discovered this hidden room 30 feet underground with these stone arches, and being a historic building from 1885, there's so many peculiarities to it that we've had to work around. So that's created this 3-level restaurant, 2 of them underground, and, kitchens and bars that are very separate from each other. So it's like, how do we create a concept that fits all 3 levels? And so really our brains kept turning, and part of our partners wanted French, and I was like, no, this has to have that. This feels like New Orleans. This feels Cajun. This feels like I'm in the French Quarter. And so I think I was the one that pushed heavily for that, and we found that that's kind of what people love, and they love the hint of the French, but man, people really want to come here and go, I feel like I'm on Bourbon Street, or I'm on Magazine or something like that, So, do
you know what used to be in this building?
So the guy who built the building above us was originally an undertaker. So it is interesting, this vaulted room. It could have been used for bodies. We don't know, but we also don't know if he was aware of it. When you come down to the 2nd level and you see the stone, the reality is that a lot of the stone, about the 3/4 of the way back on the building, it's the same stone, but it was laid differently. You don't see it because that has walls around it now, and that's where our prep kitchen and our bathrooms are. But the stone you do see is very similar to the stone here in the vault. And I do know that at one point in history, there was a big farm up here, because my other building, Café Cusco, used to be 2 big silos that had burnt down. So personally, I think that this may be the remnants of the old farmhouse, and that what we're finding down here might have been like a spring house or a root cellar or something like that. But that would have been built sometime during the Civil War era, and so it could have been used by the undertaker, or it could have been buried that whole time, and he may have never known it was here. We don't know. There's no history or no written history to let us know. It's a mystery.
At least nothing that we know of. I'm going to check my phone real quick, because I did text my buddy John Sellers from the History Museum on the Square. I'm sure you know John. And John said the following. He said there was originally a general store and a mill located in the area. He said, now the mill caught fire and destroyed both buildings. Later, it was rebuilt as a retail building as it is now. But I would have to do some research to give you the names of the businesses. But it would be interesting.
I don't know
if he could dig that up. I mean, who knows?
I don't. This building in particular would never have been a retail, because this was Dr. Robertson, which the street is named after. So the Cusco building was Dr. Bartlett and Bartlett. They were 2 brothers. One was a physician and one was a pharmacist. And Robertson was an undertaker, and that would have been in 1885. So there a lot of people aren't sure like what other buildings might have been across the street or to the right of us or, like that. But I always make the joke that if Dr. Bartlett or Bartlett didn't do their job very well, then their next step was to come over here to Dr. Robertson, and he took care of the body. So, yeah.
And he would take care of the rest. It's literally one of these if these walls could talk situations. We would have lots of questions.
And if you look at the stone, you'll see black marks all the way around, which that actually shows signs that there were fires down here. So, yeah. So who knows? I mean, if these walls could talk, it would probably tell quite the history.
Do you think it's haunted?
I love ghosts, and I've been known to tell my ghost stories. So, but we do kind of refer to, we call him Virgil, just because of some strange things that have happened here too. And some of those strange things could just be us figuring out the dumbwaiter or the POS system or the fact that there's a spring running underneath this building. So that causes a lot of, noises and movement and motion, but whatever that is, we've just dubbed it Virgil. That's what we refer to it. So.
Okay, I'll remember to greet Virgil when I come in. I want to stay on Virgil's good side. Well, the guy who mentioned the hurricane said, I heard it's haunted down here. And I'm thinking, well, maybe it's the hurricane talking, who knows? But there is a spring under here. And I remember when we left here, I don't know if it was you or someone said, go across the street because you can hear that water rushing from the other side of the street.
Yeah, there's a lion statue across the street, and if you go over there where the storm drain is, you'll hear water running, and it's from the spring from inside this building. And so this room when it was found was flooded with water, and there's a whole piping system that pumps it out. And about a week ago, all the electricity went out in the district for several hours, and our generator ran until it died. And in 20 minutes, we started filling up with water down here. So it was only about 6 inches. It wouldn't hurt anybody, but it was amazing how fast the spring continued to flow and still flows 24 hours a day. It never stops.
Very interesting. Well, when you come in here, you have to walk downstairs and see this part of the building. Let's talk about your food. You're so generous. And I came in and Joe says, I haven't really had anything to eat. Are you hungry? And I'm like, well, I'm always a little hungry. So we have everything from etouffee to French onion soup. Talk about your menu. What are some of your specialties here?
So our etouffee is insanely popular, and we do a crawfish etouffee during the day, and then in the evening we do a seafood one that has our large U10 scallops and our large shrimp, and we are sourcing like our shrimp, our alligator, our oysters. Pretty much majority of everything that we can is coming straight out of Louisiana, and then we make our boudin here, and we blend our own Creole seasoning. We're not buying a pre-mix. We literally have our own signature blend. Bake all of our bread. We even whip the mayonnaise for our sauces when we make our remoulades and our aiolis. It's nothing comes out of a jar. It's all pre-made. But it's not a huge menu, but it's pretty intense prep. It's very, very intense prep. And what's interesting is when you come down the stairs into the second level, you literally pretty much walk right into our kitchen space. Like you're in it, and you can see our chefs there working. You can see them chopping things. You can see them deveining the shrimp. And so it's, I always tell people, like, you're in our space, and that's what we, wander around. And we tell people to wander around the building. We have people that walk up and walk into our storage rooms and our offices, and then they realize they're in an employee space. And we're like, no, you're fine. You're fine. That's what we want you to do is explore. And part of that experience, a roux is that base of a sauce that mixes things. And we want that same sense here. Our menu is a fusion, and your experience is kind of a fusion. You're not just dining with us. You are in our workspace. We do our bayou board is like our sampler board. It has our beignets. I didn't want a sweet beignet. I wanted a savory beignet. So ours.
Yeah, talk about what's in that. That beignet is kind of. I mean, you've made a real name for yourself over that particular item.
Yeah, so it's our blue crab beignets, and the stuffing inside is blue crab meat, which comes from the Gulf Coast, and then cream cheese and chives, and then some of our seasoning. It's actually real simple, and then of course our beignet batter, and we drop them in the fryer, and they're like little donuts with the. I say it's if you like crab rangoon, this is like crab rangoon on steroids. Like it's insane. Yeah, it's so good. And then you dip it in the remoulade, and it's perfect. Yeah. So,
and you've also on your bio board here, and my daughter and I, by the way, we sat at that glass window right there by the kitchen, which was great fun to watch everyone working so hard and the wait staff going back and forth, and it was so much fun to watch. But the alligator bites, I had alligator before. There may be people listening that have never had that. It's really delicious and a good use of an alligator, which I'm not a huge fan of. So I'm like, I don't even know why we need alligators, but they're pretty tasty.
Yeah, I call them swamp puppies on the menu. So, but no, I love alligator. People ask me what alligator tastes like, and I go, well, it tastes like snake. And then they're like, okay, what does snake taste like?
It's got a little chewiness to it.
A little bit, yeah. It's kind of like halfway between chicken and fish, or almost a little similar even to like if you like calamari or something like that.
Exactly.
You know, yeah. It's kind of like that weird blend in between. And then we do them fried, but we can also do them grilled and blackened. And I love them grilled and blackened. Actually, they're much more tender that way, and they taste really delicious with the blackening seasoning.
I've never had alligator that wasn't a fried bite of alligator ever. So maybe next time I come in, I'll try that. Yeah. And your boudin balls, delicious.
Yep, and we make that from scratch as well. You know, that was one of my things. Is I know in the food industry you can get a lot of stuff pre-made, and but having spent so much time down in Baton Rouge and New Orleans, and there's such a food culture down there that we don't even realize. You know, like so many little grocery stores, and there's just locally made andouille sausage and your boudin and all that stuff is so like hyper local, and it's so delicious. I mean, you could buy a sausage and just chop up tiny little pieces and cook for a week with it. And here you go in the grocery store and you just see your Johnsonville andouille sausage, or the grocers who supply the restaurants just have bigger versions, and it doesn't have the same intensity, the same flavor. It's just not made the same way. So and a lot of that we can't get here as easily, so we just make it ourselves, just like they do there.
I don't know how you ever get any sleep to save me. Okay, shrimp and grits on your menu. That's got to be a hit.
Yeah, that's super popular. In fact, we've been running out of it a lot because our chefs didn't realize how popular it would be. And like last week, we just kept ordering more product. And then finally by the end of the week, he's just like, I'm just going to double all my parse, and order more. But yeah, no, it's really good. And if you're nervous about grits or you've had them before, ours are like super creamy, so smooth. And again, it has that very large shrimp, the andouille sausage, and then we make a Creole sauce that we actually use. It's got avocado oil and coconut cream and some gluten-free flours in it. So it's very smooth, and I'd say emollient. I can't ever say that word. Emollient.
Emollient, maybe?
Yeah. Smooth. We'll just say smooth. Yeah, but it's a very smooth and creamy dish, and so full of flavor. Yeah.
That's on my must-have list sometime. You also have a really nice-looking eggplant dish. You mentioned a coconut, and it's got kind of a coconut tomato cream sauce. That really intrigues me.
Yeah, that's our Creole sauce. Yeah. Okay. So there's all different types of roux. You've got your blonde roux, your brown roux, and then you've got your Creole sauce, which is kind of got more. There's a difference between the Creole and the Cajun, and Creole has tomato and a little bit more spice to it, and so that's our Creole sauce there. And you find it on the eggplant Napoleon, and then also it's on the shrimp and grits, just kind of, adding a little pizzazz to the top of it. But yeah, it's delicious. It's delicious.
What are some of the other dishes you brought to the table here, or your two chefs brought to the table?
Yeah, so I have two head chefs, and one is older and classically trained in French food, and then the other is a little bit younger and actually more trained in the New Orleans style Cajun food, and worked in oyster houses and things like that. And I've known both for years. One's actually worked for me over at Café Cusco for the last 10 years. And when I started the restaurant, I kind of approached both and said, hey, I'm looking for a head chef, and didn't really let either one know that I was actually hiring two.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier, and I think that's just so ironic. Can you tell us who they are?
Yeah, so Peter Tinson is our French chef, and
Love Peter. He's been around a long time.
yep, and then Steven Snyder is our other chef, and Steven is also our kitchen manager, so he handles the food ordering and the scheduling and kind of bossing everybody around, and Peter gets to come in and play with the sauces and the food and teach everybody more classical techniques. And so Peter's brought more of like our chicken chasseur and our chicken supreme and our burgundy pork and our beef au poivre, which are more of our French dishes, and he's also very trained in as a pastry chef and in desserts. So they both bring two different things to the table, and the name La Roux, a roux is the base of all your mother sauces, and it's basically what blends your fats and your starches together so that they can actually mix with like your wine and your water or other liquids, but it creates that binding base that emulsifies everything and then also thickens and adds flavor. I kind of did the same thing with the chefs. I wanted, I don't want to say one's a fat and one's a starch, but, two different styles and kind of like force them to work together. And it was amazing the menu they came up with. And they have such respect for each other and they work so seamlessly. And I think that respect also, you can see it, kind of goes down into our staff and our team here is very, we're trying to run a place where it's not toxic. We want everybody to be respectful and to grow and be the best they can be. And we're talking a lot about trying to establish, work-life balance and just a joy to come to work and not just feel like you're going to come in and get yelled at or everything's wrong. But it's still a struggle in the beginning. We've been super busy and they're tired, but man, I'm telling you, our front house crew and our back house crew, they have such heart. They're such good people.
Well, and so much of it comes from you, Joe, because you're so easygoing and you're very smart and it sounds like, and I did run into Peter that night. I didn't realize he was here until we were getting ready to leave and I saw him, but the staff here just seems very happy and everybody seems delighted to be here and everybody bent over backward to make the guests feel welcome. And I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the give and take with the wait staff and the bartenders.
Step into Arctic Food Equipment, where the spirit of American hospitality meets unmatched quality. Our Springfield showroom is open to the public and stocked with everything you need to outfit your kitchen. For over 25 years, we've been proud to serve our community with products built to last and a commitment rooted in American values. Come visit our showroom today and discover why kitchens across America trust Arctic Food Equipment. The tools you trust, the partner you deserve.
And, you mentioned your menu, po' boy. You can get a good po' boy here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, you can come any time of day. So if you come down to the vault and you want to, if you want to drop $100 on yourself and have a fancy meal and a glass of wine, we love that. Do it. But if you want to come down and just get a cold beer and a shrimp po' boy, absolutely. We have it. All the menus available all day long on both levels. We do shut down right now in the middle of the day from 3 to 5, and our goal is to once we have this menu and everything fine tuned to possibly put out a happy hour menu for that 3 to 5 period. But we do switch over from our lunch to dinner, so our chefs need time to change the line out and prepare different sauces for night and different proteins for at night. But yeah, no, there's a lot of options. And, we have our fresh oysters. They come from Louisiana, Bon Secours. And yeah, so we interestingly enough, every day that we keep shucking the oysters, we keep finding little baby crabs inside some of them. So they're definitely fresh and the little crabs are alive. And they, yeah, but yeah, no, it's a great mix. It's a great mix, and our staff is amazing. Yeah.
And you have some delicious fried green tomatoes. And for those who are vegetarian or vegan, a nice fried green tomato po' boy sounds delicious. With you've got the what all? How do you dress that one?
So it's a Cajun corn relish that goes with it, and then our Creole seasoning, and we're gonna have more vegan options too. Like this menu that's out right now is just kind of our base. It's our start. And like last night we were running a vegan etouffee actually as a special, and we sold a bunch of those last night. So yeah, so that's our goal. Just like the other restaurants, eventually we'll have a small vegan menu, so that way if you come in and you want to experience everything, but you don't want to stare at a menu full of things that might offend you. We want to respect that, so we're working our way to that as well.
The corn relish is delicious. I couldn't think of what to call it. I kept wanting to say slaw, and I'm like, that's not the word for it. And you have some beautiful desserts. Mm-hmm. The one that my daughter and I shared was a cheesecake, which, by the way, was heavenly by itself, house made, the cheesecake, and we were torn between the praline topping or the bananas Foster, but I can't say no to bananas Foster. Talk about your desserts.
Yeah, so they're all made in house too, and yeah, the cheesecake. I'm a cheesecake snob, and I won't. If I go to a restaurant, I can tell if their cheesecake is store bought and they're just cutting it and serving it to you, and it blows my mind how many times I find that all the time. And I get it. It's a lengthy process, and you've got to do it just right. But man, a homemade cheesecake is probably the best thing in my mind. So you'll find every restaurant I have, we have a cheesecake, but we make it always in house, and it's always unique and special to that concept, and that's kind of one of my signature things. And so our cheesecake is made here. We do burn the top a little bit, so it has a little bit of that almost like Basque feel to it, and then the caramel rum sauce, and you can either have the bananas or the praline with pecans, but it's delicious. And then my favorite is our bourbon bread pudding. I love bread pudding. I'm obsessed with it too. But if you're looking for something vegan, very light, fresh feeling, is our coconut mousseline. And so a mousseline is kind of like a thicker mousse that's normally used as a pastry filling. Ours is, as we said, the star of the show, and it has two different flavors that are kind of blended together. There's the passion fruit and then the blood orange, and then we make this sugary candied mint. We take mint leaves and we just basically drench them in sugar water and then dry them out, and then they crumble down and make these little mint sugar crystals, and a little bit more of the praline on top of that, and it's very, very delicious. And the little hints of the sugared mint really pops with the passion fruit and the blood orange.
I think you could see on my face just now, I got chills. Yeah. Listen to you talk about that. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I love it. I love it. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I gotta get my hands on that. The bread pudding is fantastic. There's some sitting in, we've been sharing lunch today, and there's some sitting in front of me. We talked about the hurricanes, and you have various varieties and strengths of hurricanes. Yeah. It's not like a category 1 through a cat 5, but maybe a little bit, depending on the velocity and whatever, the wind speed of the hurricane. But talk about your traditional New Orleans hurricanes that you have here.
So we actually do call them the category 1 through the category 5.
You do? I didn't even remember that. Really? Oh, I thought I was so clever. I guess I am. Okay.
Yeah. So the way it works is, and we don't use a mix. So we use real juices. And so our hurricane base has got passion fruit. We use key lime juice, orange juice, and pineapple. And then that's kind of our base mix. And then we have the fun kind of like shaved ice, So you pour that all over it. But our category, so you can get it as a virgin, and then we serve it with a big straw and one of those fun little umbrellas you can put behind your ear just to have fun. But our category 1 has our light rum, and then we use what's called black rum, which is a little richer than a dark rum, so it's Caribbean black rum. And then our category 2 is those 2 rums, plus we add passion fruit rum. And then our category 3 is those 3 rums, plus we add coconut rum. And then our category 4 is now all of those rums, plus we add a pineapple rum. And then the category 5 is, again, pretty much all of those rums and a little bit of mix on the top, and then we top it with 151. So yeah. So as you go up, the strength gets a little stronger, and we'll see how much you can handle. But yeah, we sell a lot of them. They're delicious, but they'll knock you off your feet.
I'm trying to remember. My daughter and I both tried a couple of different things. You have some really nice cocktails. And it was just fun to see how beautiful they are. There's just so much to be said for that when a beautiful drink comes to your table. And another thing, Joe, that I like about this is you have some sort of bench seating upstairs when you come in. So I suppose if you get here and your table's not ready, you could order yourself a hurricane or a cocktail or a glass of wine and just kind of sit and enjoy yourself until your table's done. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what they're there for. It's also, we tell people when they sit down to just wander, because the building is so unique and each environment is so different. And, when some people, when they come in, maybe they didn't have a reservation and they didn't make it to be able to dine in the vault or in the bistro, but they want to see it and they don't want to feel rushed. So we kind of have these little seating areas in different places for people to just grab your drink and go wander around. And our food is not fast. We cook everything from scratch, everything to order. So it does take a while for your food to show up. And if you want this style of food and this quality of food, it's going to be that way. This is not, it's not if you're in and out and you got 30 minutes to eat or even an hour to eat, this is probably not the restaurant for you. If you want to come and make this an evening and this is where you want to spend the evening, then this is your place. So we have all these little areas for you to just, you're waiting on your food, grab your drink and go watch the chefs, or you can literally just sit there and talk to them while they're working, or wander down into the vault and take pictures. And so we have a lot of that around here, and we tell people just wander. We'll let you know when your food's here.
I love that. They told us that when we walked in the door. What are some of the challenges in opening a brand new restaurant? It's a lot of work. You look around here and you think all the decor, all of the permits and whatever that you have, you pick out the tables, the chairs, the napkins, the flatware, the dishes, and then you have to hire all the people. And you mentioned the fresh seafood that has to come in and be unloaded every single day. And all of the sauces that you make. This is a hard job.
It's extremely difficult. People don't realize how many working parts there are to a restaurant, especially a restaurant of this level, and then a restaurant of this level with 3 levels, on top of that. So there are a lot of working parts, and you can predict as best as you can. But, as soon as everything changes the minute you open the door and customers start coming in, because you can't predict the speed, the rate at which they come in, how fast, what their expectations are, even things that are ordered. We think this is going to be our most popular dish, and so we prep a whole bunch of it and find out that this other dish that we didn't think was going to be as popular is the big seller, and now you're running out of it. And the hardest thing is, there's been so much excitement about this restaurant that you're facing huge expectations, and everyone's heart and soul just does not want to let anybody down. But again, if we had a crystal ball every day, it would be awesome. We'd be able to figure this out, but we don't. And so one of the things I keep saying to my staff constantly is adapt. That's in this level of the business, in this industry, with this clientele, and with the expectations and brand new, we can't get frustrated. We have to at every moment just go, okay, well, we're going this course now, or we're going this course, and adapt as quickly and as fastly as we can. And then the other thing is communicate, and not everybody wants to hear the truth, but sometimes we have to say, I'm so sorry. We've tried our best, but we're out of this product now. Or, we just, these people are so happy to be here. They're not leaving. And that means there's not a table, and there's nothing you can do about it. And so it is hard. And in the beginning, the expectations and the flow of business is so fast, and you're so tired. You're just so tired. So we've had some customers. I mean, we've had points where already in a week where people have yelled at us and stormed out and been very difficult. And we can't let that feed on to the other people that have been actually insanely gracious. We've had so many good customers and so many good reviews and so many people just thanking us. So those are the ones that we remember. And we at the end of the night, all the staff, we kind of take stock. We talk about the situations. I've told them, put all feelers aside. We don't need feelings right now. We just need to assess. We need to figure out what do we need to change? What do we need to move to a different place? What do we need to think about tomorrow? And that's what you do, especially in that first few months of a new restaurant. You are every day just taking it all in and going, okay, maybe this needs to go over there, or maybe we need to prep more of this, or maybe this person, we've worked them too hard. Everybody else needs to pick up the slack and give them a break. And that's what you do. So it's adapt, communicate, and smile. Smile, 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 no matter how tired you are.
Well, I want to tell you one story. When my daughter and I came down here to this room at the end of our dinner, we wanted to come down and just take a look at it. And I had seen you. We had seen you earlier in the evening. And I came downstairs and I saw you sitting along the wall. Lyle Strickland, the musician, and his family were here. I love Lyle too. So I got to visit with Lyle. But you were sitting there talking to Lyle and his family. You had a glass of wine in front of you and people were coming and greeting you, and you looked, and I know you fairly well, you looked so happy. And that just made me happy. You looked like you were having a blast. Oh. And I think I'm right about that.
Yeah, I was. I mean, like I said, this project started 8 years ago, and then just even in the last year, just so much time, energy, risk. I mean, you put so much, people don't understand that. You come into a business and if something's not perfect and you get upset, as a business owner, it's sometimes crushing because you've put your whole livelihood at stake. I mean, you've put your house at stake, you've put everything, your future, your retirement, and your health. I mean, you go weeks and weeks on end, working 18, 20 hours a day and just barely, laying your head down and getting up to an alarm and going back at it. And so when the time comes when people are coming in and they're enjoying the food and they're smiling and they're telling you, oh, that you've paid attention to every detail and this is wonderful and we're so impressed. It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling. It makes you go, man, that was hard, but I might do that again.
Well, here, you sat there like, here we are. I mean, 2 levels above you is buzzing with people and diners, and there's music, and everybody's having a good time. And it was just a great, and I loved seeing that smile on your face. But it has to make you feel good to know that all that work was worth it. But how many steps? Do you ever look at your phone or your watch and see how many steps you walk a day? Because just west of here is Café Cusco, which you also own and operate. And then on the east end, you've got Van Gogh's. And then across the street, you have Shabam Tea and Spices. And I'm sure you go up and down and across this street 1,000,000 times a day.
Oh, yeah. I got good shoes.
Thank goodness.
And I buy them often. I love it. I love it. I love the walk-in. And I do that. I kind of actually, I'm not a fan of vehicles. I even sold my house and bought a house close to here, and I actually even walk to work a bunch now. Yeah. And, my 2 favorite modes of operation are my feet and then a kayak. So usually I'm here or I'm up on the river. And it keeps me active, so. Yeah. I guess the best exercise.
Well, no doubt it is. And another thing that I think that we all appreciate is how many people you employ locally and in this area. You have a lot of people, and it's got to be gratifying for you to see them come in. Maybe it's a first job. Maybe they've been doing this for a while, and then they move up and they move on, and you've got to be so proud.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, right now, I think I'm a little over 70 employees on the street. Yeah, it's a lot to oversee. But I have a great team at all the places. I have great team. I have great management. I have employees that have been with me since day one. I mean, there's staff at Cusco that have been there since the day I said, hey, I'm going to open this restaurant. You going to do this with me? And same thing at Van Gogh's. I have people there that have been there since day one. And same thing at the tea shop. And I've got people on this crew. They're going to be here in 10 years. I believe it for sure. And and then we get the new ones that come through, and it's always exciting when they feel like they're part of the family. And it's I always tell people I don't do this alone. I have an amazing team. I have amazing partners. This is, I tend to just be the face. And I know you say I'm super easygoing, but everybody will tell you I have a very strict general side. And I don't mince words, and I get very to the point. And I always tell my staff, if I get that way, I'll never say anything mean to you. I will never yell at you. I will never disrespect you. But I also don't have time to sugarcoat stuff. I will just tell you, I need need you to do this. Your hands need to do this. You need to move a little faster. Why is that over there? Bring me that now. And,
Right. I'll tell you what you need to know because that's what we have to do.
Yeah.
So is mom involved in this one? Claire. I love Claire. How's Claire?
Well, she's great. No, she's retired now. Of course, during the pandemic, my father had gotten cancer and then he passed away from COVID. And so after that, my mom stepped back and she retired. And, but she brings people all the time. She comes, I always tell her, come eat, bring your friends, let people know you're around. Everybody asks about you all the time. And as involved, I would say 100% because I have the greatest mom in the world. She, every single morning, good morning. How's your day? What are you doing? She asks me at the end of the day, she's always there to be that support and that ear. So, I think she'll be a partner, even after she's gone one day. I'm sure she'll be, haunting me in my dreams and coming down from heaven and praying for me. Yeah.
I'm sure. I just absolutely love Claire. Well, I have had a wonderful time chatting with you. I think we've covered just about everything we could possibly cover. And you know what? It's getting later in the afternoon and you have a restaurant to run. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. 3 restaurants to run. So I probably need to let you go. But Joe Gidman, Roux Bistro on C Street. Good show, friend. Good show.
Awesome. Thanks, Joy. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Be sure to go to AroundTheOzarks.com to sign up for our daily newsletter where you can get every episode of Savor the Ozarks, plus all our other podcasts, events, and contests straight to your inbox. And what are your favorite dishes in the 417? Do you have any restaurants you'd like me to visit? Email me at joy@AroundTheOzarks.com.